Hello, my name is David, and our hope for today comes from 2 Corinthians 6:14 to 7:1. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers, for what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? What harmony is there between Christ and Belial? Or what does a believer have in common with an unbeliever? What agreement is there between the temple of God and idols? For we are the temple of the living God. As God has said, I will live with them and walk among them, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. Therefore, come out from them and be separate, says the Lord. Touch no unclean thing, and I will receive you, and I will be a father to you, and you will be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty. Therefore, since we have these promises, dear friends, let us purify ourselves from everything that contaminates body and spirit, perfecting holiness out of reverence for God. The main image in this passage is that of a yoke. Now, I didn't grow up on a farm. I've never plowed a field before. I've never hitched animals together for any purpose. But to the original readers, this image would have made a lot of sense. A yoke was a beam that would connect two animals together over the shoulder. Perhaps you might picture two horses pulling a sleigh ride like we've had at our Bright Lights Festival in years past. Right? The joining of two animals together increases the power and the efficiency of your pulling. In a farming society, it allows you to increase the power on your plow so you could tear up the dirt easier. You gain the benefit of both animals pulling together. But when the animals aren't the same size, the results can be disastrous. In fact, we read in the Old Testament in Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 10, it actually states, you shall not plow with an ox and a donkey together. Why that? Because the force is applied unevenly, meaning one animal bears more work than the other, or one animal overpowers another and it's hard to maintain a straight line as you're plowing. Maybe you've experienced a similar sensation of that pulling to the side if you've got a flat tire while driving. Right? The flat tire, it can throw off the angle of the car, but it also doesn't apply the same amount of driving force to the road. And so when you get a flat tire, it can often pull you over to one of the sides. It pulls you because the work to move you forward is uneven. So what does Paul mean by this image? Often we talk about it in the context of marriage. Do not marry a non-believer because the marriage will be unevenly yoked. Right? The spiritual work is not even, and there will be tension. But Paul's context is never about marriage. It's actually about how we relate to the people around us and how we relate to these spiritual practices and idol worship. John Calvin, a key figure in the Reformation, is quoted as saying, "To be yoked with unbelievers means nothing less than to have fellowship with the unfruitful work of darkness and to hold out the hand of them in token of agreement." The passage here is not a ban or a block on marriage or business ventures or friendships and things like that. We should be connecting and engaging with our neighbors and our community. Rather, we see the call of this passage in the final verse. Therefore is this transition. It takes us to the so what of this passage. Do not be unequally yoked. Therefore, since we have these promises, dear friends, let us purify ourselves from everything that contaminates body and spirit, perfecting holiness out of reverence for God. There are many things that can draw us away from God and away from living holy lives. But we should make sure that we are setting ourselves apart, that the relationships and the partnerships that we engage in are not pulling us away from God, to not allow ourselves to be connected to and pulled off course by non-believers. Because our final goal and our course is to pursue a life that looks like Jesus, to become like Jesus in our actions and in our character, to pursue a life of holiness. Let us yoke ourselves to things that keep us on that path. And that's our hope for today.